Hello, everyone. It's Ben Brooks here with Whitman-Walker Health. Hey, No Filter. We're getting ready for an Instagram Live talking about DC budget. Just gotta wait for my influencer to show up. Thanks for joining us. All right. We're doing great. All right. Thanks for showing up, y'all. Hey, Jewel, how's it going? Hey, y'all. Very nice. Thanks for coming in, y'all. We're gonna get started in just a second. Come on in, Dave. All right. Let's see how we do. Look at
Hey,
us.
how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I saw that you went live, so I was like, oh, I guess I'm jumping over here. So we'll get started. How are you
Yeah,
today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be on time, you know?
I know, right? So do you want to introduce yourself and then I can go in and then we'll get
Yeah,
started?
surely. Hi, y'all. My name is Benjamin Brooks. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Assistant Director of Policy with Whitman-Walker Health. We are very glad to be here today talking about the DC budget. Go for it, Dave.
Absolutely. So I'm David Wilson. I am a part of the Whitman-Walker's social media team. And for the last few months, Whitman-Walker's Community Health Department has expanded its outreach efforts. So we come on here to cover various topics about HIV, STI, sexual health practices, access to care, social determinants of health, and general public health interventions. So our series of outreach sessions also focus on the current pandemic, COVID-19, in ways that you can manage your sexual, personal, and mental health during this time. So our community team is here to help you, educate you, and support you. Today, obviously, we're here with Benjamin Brooks. So we're going to be talking to Ben about, he works with Whitman-Walker's researchers and providers to respond to potential challenges and opportunities that arise from changes in the law. So he's on here to take part of this series and to talk about how policy can impact your lives and how you can impact policy. So, again, my name is David Wilson. My pronouns are he, him, his, and we'll get into the conversation. So before I jump in, wellness check. How are you doing, Ben? Everything's good?
Everything's good. I'm feeling sore. I've lifted a lot of boxes this weekend, but I'm happy to
I
be
thought you were
here.
going to say weights. I was going to say, oh, good for you.
No, no, just moving all my stuff from one place to another. But I'm happy to be here and happy to be talking about things that matter. So let's dive in. Oh, I can't hear you right now, Dave. Are you muted?
You can't hear me?
I can hear you now. Sorry.
You can hear me now? Okay.
Mhm.
So, again, you mentioned things that matter. So please tell us why the DC budget matters so much to LGBTQ folks.
Yeah, thank you. So I think like a budget is a moral document, is what we say in work, which is that like a budget reflects the values of the people who put it together, and it should reflect the city that whose money that the city is spending, right? So DC has a larger percentage of LGBTQ people than any state
Mm-hmm.
union. We have almost 10% of DC residents identify as LGBTQ, and that number is growing as both DC natives declare themselves to be members of the queer community, and as queer people from all over the country move to DC, drawn in part, of course, by its reputation as a welcoming, supportive, and inclusive place full of opportunities for everybody. So we are we are advocating as Whitman-Walker with a coalition of other LGBTQ groups for the needs of LGBTQ people in the city. The decisions the mayor and the council make about the budget have huge impacts on the health and well-being of LGBTQ people, and have an impact on our inclusion in the whole life of the city, and our continued visibility and vibrancy. You know, those rainbows on the crosswalks don't just paint themselves, right? So
Right.
you pay somebody to do it.
Great. So thanks for sharing all that information. I guess like people may not always understand like how policy or how we as individuals can influence policy and influence the decisions that are happening around us in our city. So speaking of like influences, like what has Whitman-Walker been doing to influence DC's budget?
Yeah, so you're an influencer, you know, like the key to getting people to change their mind is to be in front of their faces and talking at them all the time.
Right.
So we can't do it alone. So we partnered with the other LGBTQ groups in the city. We call it the LGBTQ plus Budget Coalition. It's a group of over 15 LGBTQ plus led organizations and groups. Includes,
Okay.
you know, Wanda Alston Foundation, includes the DC LGBT Center, includes a lot of the, you know, local LGBTQ politicians. So over the course of the months since January, we met and decided on a list of budget priorities that the whole LGBTQ community in DC could get behind, and really reflected the urgency of the need too. So we decided to try to work towards funding programs like that fight workforce discrimination against transgender people. We are fighting for programs that provide low barrier housing for homeless LGBTQ youth. We want information and data on LGBTQ health. So we're fighting for a health data report on LGBTQ people in DC. And, you know, in the big picture, creating and supporting LGBTQ spaces and community gatherings. One of the big fights that we have is trying to get the fees waived for the Pride Parade and celebration that happens every month. There was almost $500,000 in fees and fines from the city for putting that together. And
Wow.
that's crazy. This is our right to gather, right? And so you shouldn't charge us for it. So we are fighting to get these fees waived and to build space.
Yeah, that's actually really good to hear. I know that DC is very big on their permitting processes and all the fees that go along with that. So it's good to hear that you're stepping out there and trying to get at least a reduction or get that taken away so that we can, you know, meet without like being charged by the city for that. So
right,
makes total sense to me. Let's see how, I hope we're successful in that. So how has the LGBTQ Budget Coalition influenced the mayor and the DC City Council?
Yeah, so it's a big question, and I'm going to go into detail because I mean, every person listening has the opportunity to partner in this work. So I'm going to try to explain it a little bit in the details. And it works differently this year because the budget was late because of COVID. Like everything's late. So on regular years, the mayor puts together her budget with the help of all of the different agency heads, everybody sort of in the DC government, executive side, the mayor side, meets. They decide on how much money each department needs. That's, you know, the Department of Health, the Department of Transportation, the Police Department. All of them kind of get together. They put together their wish list and they send it to the DC Council. Now the council members have all the power. There are 13 of them, and they're the elected representatives of us people, right? So the DC Council takes the mayor's budget, considers it, has a bunch of hearings on it. People from the community go to these hearings and they present their evidence and their testimony. And then each of the committees in the council submits reports and makes recommendations for the council of the whole. And then they all meet together at the end to vote on it in a big sort of council of the whole meeting, which then passes the budget first. And then secondly, they pass what's called the Budget Amendment Act, which is any kind of legislative or legal changes that have to be made to spend the money that they decided to spend. So
Right.
it's a little bit complex. And that's why we needed a coalition, right, to help us keep track of every step.
Got it. And so you mentioned these public hearings. Like, can anyone actually attend these? So I'm assuming, like, if I wanted to go hear what we're pushing for, could I attend myself?
Yeah, especially these days, there a lot of them are Zoom meetings, so you can attend
Okay.
by Zoom. They're all broadcasted on, the council TV. I'm not sure. I think there's even like a dedicated channel
Right.
in DC where you can watch them, but you can find them all online too. So you can go, you can sign up to testify, you can submit written testimony, and you can even call and leave a voicemail at a number, and that will count as testimony, which will be recorded in the official record. So there's lots of different ways to be involved.
Yeah, I want to also encourage people who are viewing, like, if you have any questions, put it in the comments. So, for example, that was a question I just came up out of nowhere. I'm very curious about how I can get my voice heard as an LGBTQ person, as a person who identifies as both gay and queer. So I want to know, like, what you guys have questions about. So if you have them, drop them in the comments. Also, like these hearings that we're discussing here, I definitely encourage each of you to, if you have an opportunity, attend some. Be great to get your voice heard. It would be great to participate in the changes that are happening in your city. So yes, do that. And if you have a question, drop it. We're waiting on you, Goldstein, Bianca. I'm
Yes,
assuming your name's Bianca. So Bianca, if you have a question, drop it in there. So that was a lot that you mentioned, and it sounds like a lot to keep track of. It sounds like a lot of work. Like, how do you keep track of all this stuff?
yeah. So the LGBT Budget Coalition has an excellent coordinator who works with all of us to schedule all of the meetings and to take the lead on writing the letters. But but it's supported through the organizations that make it up. Smile, I think most of folks are familiar with Smile. They're a huge supporter. So in particular, I want to call out and thank Japer Bowles, who is an ANC commissioner in Adams Morgan, who has taken a lot of the lead on keeping us all organized, as well as folks from Casa Ruby, who have been excellent and just close partners in the work. Um, there's part of the thing that we have to keep track of too is that the money keeps moving the whole year, right? So they set the budget, so then they get the tax report from the city, right? And so the last year during coronavirus, they put in a request for all of the agencies to cut the budget because they thought there wasn't going to be enough money. But then when they got the mid-year tax report, they had more money than they expected. So they were able to pass another sort of mini budget in the middle of the year and move a lot of more money around and fund a lot of stuff that they weren't expected to fund. So there's all kinds of opportunities the whole year round to be involved in budget advocacy, and one of them is happening tomorrow. So this is a big day because tomorrow the council votes on the budget again, and so we're encouraging people, and we have a QR code where you can send a letter to the council. Encouraging them to fund LGBTQ Budget Coalition priorities. We are going to post that in the Instagram stories so that folks can scan the QR code and sign a letter speaking out with their own voice in support
Yeah.
of LGBTQ budget priorities.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on, I do want to address Bianca's question. Bianca, if you have not got a response to your email about your COVID-19 vaccination appointment, I am sorry. Let's try giving us a call. You can give us a call at 202-745-7000. Also, you can follow up on your email. Maybe it was missed. I'm not sure. But if the email is appointments@Whitman-Walker, Whitman-Walker.org. So try those two options. And if you do not have any success with those, you can also call us. We have another number, 202-797-4439. Between the three of those options, I hope that you're able to get your vaccination appointment. All
And
right.
Bianca, Bianca asked another question: is do you guys know when the Pfizer got FDA approved? We do not know that. It hasn't happened quite yet, I don't think. But we'll keep an eye out.
All right. And so back onto the topic, you mentioned like how the budget is constantly active throughout the fiscal year, meaning they're spending money here, they're taking away from the budget. So it sounds like we have several opportunities to get our voices heard because things shift around. Doesn't sound like the obligations are fixed. So that's good. So I definitely encourage everybody to go into the story, scan that QR code, get your voices heard, sign a petition, everything that you need to do to make sure that we are supported, we are protected. So let's make sure we do that. So back on budget. So what did the budget cycle look like, this year? Like how is it going? Are we seeing more funding towards, things that support our needs?
Yeah, it's a really exciting year. The budget was delayed. It's supposed to come out in February or March. But what happened was Joe Biden got elected president, and they passed a huge stimulus bill that gave the city of DC an additional $2.1 billion to spend over the next 3 or 4 years. Okay. So because there's a huge pot of extra money that the city has to decide how to spend, they delayed releasing the budget so the mayor could incorporate all of that additional funding into her planned spending. This is really good news because we got a bunch of the stuff that we are looking for funded. We got $1 million set aside to help build an LGBT community center in the city, which is a huge need, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to be involved in sort of pushing these forward and continuing to drive it, this is a good year because there's actually a lot of money kind of floating around. We we got news of the additional money, and then the mayor put together her budget, sent it to the council, kind of like mid-May, and so June became, Pride Month became the month for everyone to be kind of loud and proud about their budget needs, which is really great. The LGBTQ Budget Coalition was kind of out there at these meetings. We met with the mayor's budget team first to make sure that when she was writing her top lines, she knew what we wanted. And then we met with the council budget team so that when they were looking at the mayor's budget, they knew what we wanted. And then we meet with the individual council members, both their staffers and the council members themselves, to express our needs to make sure that we're going to get an LGBTQ community workforce grant, that we're going to get housing for our seniors, LGBTQ specific housing, including not just housing like vouchers, but LGBTQ seniors have needs, have mental health needs, have behavioral health needs. And so we want to make sure that there's money in the budget for supportive services too, so that seniors don't just have a place that they can live, but have support that they need so that they can live healthy lives, right? Live openly. So we're very excited about the wins that we have, and we're continuing to push because it's not over till it's over, right? We have to make sure that we're out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Bianca. We definitely need help with housing, and so this is more reason why we need to have our voices heard. It's specifically about and you brought up a topic that many folk don't think about. The aging LGBTQ folk who are in our city, and how oftentimes a lot of those folk don't have family members, may not have children. And so, like, what do we do with them? How do we make sure that they live healthy lives when they're aging? And so I love to hear that those are things that we're thinking about. These are things that we want to make sure the mayor and the city council is taking into consideration when we're creating these budgets for our city. So, Bianca, great point. I totally agree with you. So before we break or before we go on and continue our day, I do want to put out one more reminder, and that reminder is that we are still in a pandemic. So if you want to get vaccinated, as you can see, Bianca was in our comments asking how and where she can get in contact about vaccination appointments. So One thing I do want to point out that DC still has a dozen or so walk-up sites throughout the area where you do not need an appointment. You can just go and get your vaccine. And if you want to get vaccinated at Whitman-Walker Health, you can call our 202-207-2480 or email us at appointments@whitmanwalker.org. You can schedule an appointment at either of those two. And we'll be registering people at our outreach event. So if you see us at an outreach event, you can feel free to step to us and we'll help you get an appointment scheduled. Now, if you have already got vaccinated, I do want to say congratulations. You know, the CDC has given the okay to relax some of your mask wearing and return to some of those pre-pandemic activities. I do want to say that things are changing. You know, we've heard in California where they're reinforcing, in LA County, they're reinforcing the mask wearing inside because of the increased amounts of the Delta variant. So we still don't know. A lot is changing. So I want you all to stay updated. Visit the CDC site. Visit whitmanwalkerhealth.org. We'll try to keep you all as updated as possible. But I also understand that if you got vaccinated, you still want to keep your mask on, especially with all the things that are changing and knowing that the vaccine isn't 100% effective. More contagion variants are spreading, as I mentioned, and there are very few protocols in place to know whether or not a person has been vaccinated. So you may not know the person next to you has been vaccinated or not. And so it is still our duties to protect ourselves and our communities. So now for those of you who have not been vaccinated at all, please continue to follow the CDC guidelines for mask wearing, quarantining, social distancing, and everything else, because it is still very important that you get a vaccine as soon as you can. But continue to discuss your COVID precautionary measures around you, those who live with you, friends, and those people you are being, if you're going to work, keep that in mind. Be mindful of the people you're around. Be mindful of keeping your distance, and, because you don't know if someone has been vaccinated or not. One last announcement is that, if you want to support Whitman-Walker, you can register for our walk or run. You don't have to walk or run. You can pick one or the two. And you can donate to this year's virtual walk and 5K to end HIV. And that is actually occurring on October 23rd. So it's towards the end of the year. This year marks a special year, though, because it is the 35th anniversary of the walk. So register yourself or a team today at walktoendhiv.org. Also, remember to continue to follow us here on Instagram, but also on Facebook, Twitter, at Whitman-Walker, and checking out our website at whitmanwalker.org. And we'll keep you up to date for all of our information on our services and for more COVID-19 resources and our general Whitman-Walker services. You can also call us for any of that information at 202-797-4439. We have so many other programs at Whitman-Walker, but a couple that I want to point out that are in our Whitman-Walker Health family is at Real Talk DC. Follow them on Instagram. Also follow at No Filter DC on Instagram, and one of my favorites, at The Corner DC. If you don't know where The Corner DC is, it's at our Liz location located on 14th Street. They do a bunch of cool art exhibits and activities and events. So check us out. It's usually open during the day, so you can walk in or drop by. I do it every time I'm in town. So do it. Check us out. And that's it. Do you have anything else for us, Ben?
I just want to note, Bianca asks another good question in the chat. Is, do you have to be a DC resident to sign the petition? And the answer to that is no. If you work, live, or know people in DC, please speak up and sign the petition. Heck, if you can smell DC from your house, you should sign the petition. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
It was. And thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.